Today is day 2 of Homeopathy Awareness Week, where we celebrate the birthday of Samuel Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, who was born on the 10th of April, 1755. Happy birthday, Sam, and thank you for creating this incredible natural medicine, which we have now been able to use for over 200 years. Now, for the 5th year running, the Homeopathy Hangout podcast has asked our listeners around the world to send in testimonials of how homeopathy has helped you and your family. And we use a special link called speakpipe.com, and we get our listeners to send their testimonials in. Now, this is the 5th year running, and I have to say this has been the hardest of all the years to get people to send in testimonials. It really is a lot of hard work. I know people have incredibly busy lives, and everyone seems to be getting busier and busier because, like I said, this is the 5th year running, and this year was definitely the hardest. And so with that in mind, I want to really specially acknowledge every single person who made the effort to go and record a testimonial, doesn't matter how quick it is, so that we could stitch them together into a podcast episode for our listeners to enjoy today. We have another one coming up tomorrow, and then the day after that, a very special one, which I'm not going to spoil the surprise for you just yet. And we have a couple more episodes that's going to come out after that. But yes, we are celebrating daily episodes on the Homeopathy Hangout podcast from the 10th to the 16th of April. Now, if you would like to listen back on past testimonials, probably the easiest way to do that is go to homeopathyhangout.com. And if you type awareness in the search box, all the past episodes will come out. So if you are wanting to send a podcast episode or episodes to anybody who is skeptical about whether homeopathy can be of benefit to them, then sending them the Homeopathy Awareness episodes that we've done over the last 5 years is definitely worthwhile because you will hear from a huge variety of people from right around the world. Now, some of them use their real names and some of them have not included their names. Either way, it is a brilliant opportunity to just celebrate and how homeopathy has touched the lives of so many countless people around the world for over 2 centuries. So just once again, to each and every one of you who have sent us in a testimonial, thank you so much. I really appreciate it with all my heart. And it's wonderful that we get to celebrate Homeopathy Awareness Week together by sharing our love for homeopathy. Now, if you have not had a chance to send us a testimonial, but you would still like to contribute in some way to support homeopathy and the work that homeopaths do, or if you would particularly like to support a podcast called Homeopathy Hangout, there are several ways in which you can support my work to help me to continue to bring you new episodes. One of them is that the podcast currently is completely self-funded. That means I pay for every single episode's editing, which, believe me, is countless of thousands over the course of a year. So if you would like to support my work, please visit eugeniekruger.com and click the donations button at the top, and you can make a donation, just a once-off or a recurring donation. Either way, you can do that there. If you would like to support me in another way, please consider going to whichever podcasting host you use to listen to this episode, so Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything else, and give us a 5-star review because that does also help. And if you like, please consider recommending this podcast to your family and friends. So maybe share it on your socials or send it in a WhatsApp message, or just see if you can get the podcast out to other people who may be inspired by this content and might consider using homeopathy in their own lives. Thank you very much for listening and celebrating Homeopathy Awareness Week with me. Enjoy the episode.
Hi, my name is Rita, and I would like to share how homeopathy helped me recover from a health problem. In the winter of 2025, I developed a persistent cough and struggled especially at night when I was trying to sleep. I went to my GP, who referred me for various tests and procedures. After that, I was advised to see an ENT specialist, but the appointment was only available about 8 weeks later. In the meantime, my daughter-in-law, Eugenie, referred me to Angela, a homeopath. I had a 45 consultation with Angela, after which she prescribed several remedies for me. I used these remedies while waiting for my appointment with the ENT specialist. When I eventually saw the specialist, he told me that I was 100% healthy. There were no signs of inflammation in my throat, no problems with my thyroid, absolutely nothing. I also told him about the remedies I had been using, and he advised me to continue taking them and to keep seeing my homeopath. I'm definitely a believer now.
I am so grateful to have found homeopathy early on in my motherhood journey. I use it probably daily for things like the bumps, bruises, scrapes that kids are prone to, and of course the sniffles and any colds. I think we have dodged a lot of sickness or reduced the severity massively just by using homeopathy. My hubby probably doesn't even realize that he doesn't need different pharmaceuticals that he used to use. So I like to treat him, even if he doesn't know it. Yeah, so it's just been an absolute game changer in our life. And I can't believe more people don't use it. So let's spread the word and share it with the world.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anya. I'm Polish. I live in Australia. Eugenia has been my first homeopath, and I've since worked with a few homeopaths on her team, and all of them are amazing. Homeopathy basically changed my life, changed my family's life. We are healthier, we're stronger, we've got better responses to any disturbances. We know our bodies and our systems better. We can react better in real time. We're less poisoned by allopathic drugs because we just don't take them anymore. We're more self-aware, and it's just been great. It's been an amazing journey. So, homeopathy for everyone.
Thank you so much, Eugenie, for your contribution to the whole world, letting them all know about homeopathy. Keep going.
Hi, my name's Vicky. I'd like to just say how homeopathy has helped myself and my family. I started using it when my son was probably about 5 years of age. He's now in his 30s. He was having constant ear, nose, throat issues, always on antibiotics from the doctors, and had the tonsils out, adenoids out, grommets, all that sort of stuff. And after he had all that done, still kept getting the ear infections. That was the time that I turned to homeopathy, and never looked back. He never went and saw a doctor through his whole childhood. It just made such a huge difference. And then that led me to start looking at homeopathy. And then I began to use it with my other two children and use it on myself and throughout my whole life. To this day, still using it, and now have just started to learn about it and jumped on board with CHE and doing the foundation course. So absolutely love homeopathy. It is amazing. Yeah, and I will highly recommend it to all, particularly new mums out there with little kiddies. It literally just puts the power back in your hands to treat your children when they get all sorts of sickness and illnesses. So yeah, thank you.
Hi there. So my testimonial for homeopathy would be that I've previously had shingles on my ear before, and I had a recent flare up again. Previously, I hadn't used homeopathy with the last flare up. And so I contacted my homeopath and she recommended Rust Tox. So I didn't use anything else for this shingles flare up before that. And it was quite itchy, red, swollen, and it had sort of hit my jawline. And so I was struggling to open and close my mouth. I was having like constant clicking and pain through the left side of my jaw because it was in my left ear. Anyway, so I started using the Rust Tox immediately, and she recommended 3 times a day, but I was even just using it twice a day. So 2 drops twice daily. And within the first couple of doses, the jaw pain went away. The jaw pain completely subsided. The itchiness was coming and going. So every time I would take the drops, the itchiness would almost flare up and then it would stop completely. That continued for like a day, day and a half, and then it was completely gone. So the shingles were completely healed just from using 3 to 4 days worth of Rust Tox. So highly recommend that one.
Homeopathy has been amazing for my son for croup. We have the croup mix on hand, and anytime there is the beginnings of croup starting, we get straight onto it. And it's been great because we haven't had to rely on anything stronger than homeopathy for him, and he recovers very quickly. So we love the croup mix.
Hi, my name's Samantha Whiteman. I've been using homeopathy since about the end of 2019 after I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, so I was hit pretty hard with all of the chemotherapy, the radiation, surgeries, reconstructions, you name it, they threw it at me. Um, After that, though, and all the treatment, everything was done, and I was given the all clear after that, later in that particular year, hit with a lot of side effects that started to come out, things like fluid on all of my joints that just wouldn't go away. I went back and forward to my GP and various specialists, had fluid drained, had all sorts of medications thrown at me, and they just weren't working. My beautiful GP tried so hard to help me, and bless her, I wouldn't be here without her because she found it in the first place, my breast cancer, but we just weren't getting anywhere, unfortunately, with solving all of my side effects. And that's when I discovered homeopathy. I went and saw my absolutely amazing homeopath, Sarah. And after remedies and appointments and her giving me her beautiful time, we solved those issues. And I've never had a problem with any of those side effects since. And she's also helped me with a few other issues I've had over the years as well, not relating to that. Yeah. And then I started taking my son to see her as well. And she's helped him a lot as well. So I decided to actually study homeopathy thanks to Sarah and her help. I think I'd be on a lifetime of medication and possibly not even able to work if I hadn't have found her. And so I'm studying homeopathy through CKT. I've just found it really, really interesting, and it's such a well laid out course, and I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm finding the information particularly useful. I carry certain remedies around with me all the time. My favourite remedies are Nux vomica and arsenicum. I get a bit of a sensitive stomach, and so does my son. And I also carry around things like gelsemium and aconite because my son has quite a lot of anxiety, so I like to have them on hand just in case. I've also just found the homeopathy helpful just in day-to-day use as well. You know, you get your colds, your flus, your headaches, all those niggly, annoying things, and sometimes they linger on for ages, and it just solves it so quickly, and then you can just get on with life and enjoying life, and that's why I love it so much.
Homeopathy has helped me as I've navigated the hormonal changes of being a woman in her 40s. It's helped me treat my family's coughs and colds. We also use homeopathy to manage everything from bug bites to gastro to PMS symptoms for my daughters. It's our family's go-to for all kinds of medical issues.
I just love listening to Eugenie's homeopathy podcast. I am a really big advocate of people using homeopathy at home for their families, but it can sometimes be really hard to sort through all the information. So it's really great to listen to a podcast and feel inspired and write down some of the remedies that have been mentioned in a podcast when the topic has resonated with our family, and then to play around a bit with that at home. And it obviously saves a lot of money from going to see different homeopaths when we're just wanting to deal with some small acute things, some things that will help with cold and flu season or an earache. And then we can save our appointments with Eugenie for the bigger or more chronic issues that are going on and feel really empowered to do what we can at home.
Hello, Eugenie. I'm a retired homeopath and I've been using homeopathy for 30 years. I'm in the UK. Homeopathy completely changed my life when I first went to see a homeopath. I had a lot of mental health issues and it really pushed me forward. But 30 years later, I'm still helping lots of friends. My grandchildren are very, very well-balanced, independent kids because of the homeopathy they had when they were small. And just last week, my son, who's 36, had some really bad news. A friend of his committed suicide. So he went straight to his homeopath for some shock remedies. I think she gave him aconite high and some flower essences, and the next day he felt a lot better and he was able to cope with what he was feeling. So from me first seeing a homeopath, becoming a homeopath myself, helping so many people over the years and still helping friends and family, a lot of people's lives have been changed for the better. And that is very empowering for all of us. Homeopathy is wonderful.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I first discovered homeopathy when my eldest son was around 18 months old and struggling with ongoing bowel issues. After trying many different approaches without lasting results, we were encouraged to see a homeopath, and it truly changed our path. Almost 7 years later, homeopathy has become our main source of care for our family. We use it to support physical ailments as well as our mental and emotional well-being. Over time, I've become a home prescriber myself, and I'm now studying through CHE Australia and New Zealand to become a qualified homeopath. What began as a search for help for my son has grown into a real passion.
Hey everyone, I'm Carly. I'm a mum of 2 boys, and we have been using homeopathy since my first son was born, which was 4.5 years ago. Homeopathy is all my kids know. They love the little sugar pills. They think they're like a little lolly. And I not only use homeopathy on my kids, I use it on my dog and chickens as well. So we do the worming for the dog, and the chickens. And homeopathy, has truly changed my life. Not only have I not had to go to the doctors or the pharmacy for the last 5 years, but my kids are so healthy that I hardly need anything, but it's just so good to have the kit on hand for if we ever did need a remedy for whatever reason. So definitely tell all my friends about homeopathy. I've even got a few of them onto Eugenie's kits, and I preach it to everyone. We just love homeopathy so much.
Hello, everyone. Eugenie Kruger is the grande dame of homeopathy as far as I'm concerned. She's a brilliant homeopath and with decades of experience, and has helped so many newer homeopaths sharpen their abilities and skills with these wonderful tidbits, stories, and her amazing podcasts. She asks the right questions, and a bouquet of answers from her guest shed even more light on homeopathy for the people of the world. There simply is no one like Eugenie. She sets the world on fire toward healing medicine for all people. She has a heart as big as the world itself, and she cares about helping people to get well. Homeopathy is an incredible medical breakthrough 350 years ago by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann of Germany. Now, scientists are beginning to understand the quantum physics foundation of it, and indeed, it helps to heal people of acute and chronic conditions. The guests she has on her podcast are wonderful, good-hearted, kind, intelligent, and creative people who also aim to help those who are ill and to become healthy once again via homeopathy. May Queen Eugenie Kruger continue to open up the global homeopathic way of healing of her and her people, and to become, for everyone, more healthy than they are now. Love you, Jeannie. Bye-bye.
Homeopathy changed my life. I was a baby. I was covered in eczema. It then developed to asthma. I was constantly hospitalized. I was constantly put on antibiotics. But homeopathy was what brought me out of all of that, to no longer have any of those things and to be completely healthy. It was because of this and the constant use of homeopathy throughout my life that I became a homeopath myself. And I absolutely love watching people go through the journey of homeopathy and how amazing it is in helping people to recover from whatever it is that they're going through, whether that be emotional, physical, mental, all of the aspects. It's just amazing how homeopathy really digs deep in its healing. So I absolutely love homeopathy. I'm so glad that Samuel Hahnemann got the vision to bring it to life. and have a wonderful homeopathy week.
Hello, I was raised with homeopathy in the 1990s, but I didn't really understand it as a family treatment option until last year. I have 2 young boys, and I wish I'd gotten into it earlier, but here we are. A major moment for me was when I took my 2 boys, at the time they were 4.5 and 15 months, caravanning by myself while my husband had to work. We were a few hours from home on the back end of our trip. We all share a bed, which is just perfect, except when the vomiting symptoms hit the 15-month-old at 1 a.m. But I had my Eugenie travel kit and I dosed him with arsenicum, having learned about the loading doses in Eugenie's intro video. I was in such a panic at the time about getting sick myself and having to drive home with the caravan on my own. I was still breastfeeding, and I was remembering how wrecked I was from my previous experience with gastro. So I dosed myself too. My son's symptoms slowed really, really quickly, almost immediately after his big spew to start. And compared to all the other times our family has faced gastro, it moved on really moderately. I did make it home. I did get sick, but my symptoms were really moderate compared to the other times that I've had gastro, particularly while breastfeeding. So I really appreciated the magic of homeopathy.
I just woke up this morning with my shoulder hurting. Every time I use the telephone, these cell phones, my finger on my right hand, and moving it up, after a while, my shoulder and the shoulder socket really starts burning and hurting. And I always take something, but I don't usually have this problem during the morning time. Well, I took some arnica because it was right there on my coffee table beside my head. And I took 3, and now that was like about 2 hours ago. After I laid down maybe for 15 minutes, my shoulder is so good, it's like brand new again. I will never stop using homeopathy, and I will never stop learning about how to use homeopathy. And thank you so much, Gina. Bye.
30 years ago, my 2-year-old daughter had an antibiotic-resistant E. coli infection with 2 wide-range antibiotics as IVs in either arm. She had stopped walking, talking, and peeing. They sent a head urologist down, and my homeopath was out of the country. 3 days later, he came straight from the airport to her bedside and asked me what my last trimester of pregnancy was like. And I had lost 2 very significant people in my life. And so he treated her for grief. This was a child when admitted to the hospital, spiked fever of 105.7. 3 days with 2 antibiotics in her and them giving her Motrin and Tylenol every 2 hours, they can only get her fever down to 102.5. So my homeopath administered 1 pellet of Ignatia, Ignatia, Ignatia 30C, the grief remedy par excellence. And he said her fever will probably break. If it spikes again, give her another pellet, but I don't think it will. Within an hour, her fever went down. Her sheets were soaking wet. Nurses came in. They thought her IV had infiltrated in that. They were ready to change her IVs. And I said, no, her fever broke. And they looked at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. But sure enough, they checked her IVs and they were intact. My pediatrician, who was the head of child oncology at Rainbow Babies and Children at the time, came in the next day and he said, I don't want to know what you did. He said, but I will tell you this, that she had a completely resistant E. coli infection and we were really worried. He said, but we're going to keep her in the hospital 1 more day to see what her blood work is. And if it's clear, you can go home. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Her blood work came back normally. Her fever was 99.7. And if you talk about a miracle happening right before your eyes, that my homeopath in his brilliance could not find a reason why a perfectly healthy 2-year-old child would get such an advanced urinary kidney infection, right? And there we go. So we've seen many miracles over the years, enough to have made me become a homeopath as well. And here I am into homeopathy now, 35 years practicing, and homeopathy saves lives and keeps us healthy. And we continue to learn every day as it's an evolving, miraculous science.
After refreshing myself on homeopathy and joining a community that supports beginners, I looked into remedies for the challenging behaviors I'd been experiencing with my 3 and later 4-year-old. He'd been flagged for certain traits, and it felt important to me to look at him as an entire human instead of just his symptoms, which I felt pharmaceuticals would do. I wish I'd taken my son to see a homeopath sooner. He's so much more enjoyable, and I love being with him. He's still wild and has his personality, but he's calmer, more empathetic, and less reactive. He's less aggressive and more flexible and adaptable. And he was an absolute dream returning to preschool after Christmas when I thought things would fall apart. I kept waiting for the novelty of being the oldest in the preschool room to wear off. And I told his educators to brace themselves. I was anticipating a really rough period, but he was just so regulated. I'm sure we've got challenges ahead of us, but I'm really relieved to have had the right support during this rocky time.
Hey, homies. This is
Jager.
And what's your favorite remedy, Jager?
Arnica.
Why Arnica?
Because it helps.
What does it help with?
Everything.
Be more specific.
Everything.
What, when you bump your head?
Sure.
And what's your favorite remedy when you get a mouth ulcer?
Mouth and gum mix.
The Narayani. Jager also sees Eugenie for consultations. How's that been, Jager? Seeing Eugenie.
Good.
I think that's all from Jager. Say bye.
Bye.
Hello, homies. It's Sarah Goff here, and I just want to jump on and say how much I love homeopathy. I love listening to Eugenie's podcast. I love studying homeopathy, and I just love that I can confidently use homeopathy in my home with my family. And I don't know where I would be. I don't know what there would be if there wasn't homeopathy in my home. Like, I have treated, for myself personally, I treated an antibiotic-resistant kidney infection. So, like, what would happen there if it's antibiotic resistant? I would have had to go on IV antibiotics. And this was while I was pregnant. So, I just am so grateful for homeopathy and so grateful to Eugenie, who has made it so easy. And, over the last 7+ years that I've been using homeopathy, Eugenie's support group and Eugenie has given so much of her time over those years, so that I actually am very confident in prescribing for my own family. Like, I've got a little 6-month-old baby now, and there might have been one occasion that I've asked for help, but I already knew what to do. Like, I feel so much more confident in what remedies and when to give it. And also, these days, I'm a little bit more laid back on my prescribing too. I don't use my remedies as much because I want to get the right remedy. And in saying that, though, I do love the Narayani remedies. The Narayani infection special is just like, that is my gold. That is my gold. I've got my 6-month-old here, and she is listening because she loves homeopathy too. She's actually very good at eating the little pillules. She, instead of spitting them out, she decided she would like to chew them and swallow them. So she's very good at that. And we've got solids coming up, and she's actually going to see Eugenie for the first time this week. So that is very exciting. And yeah, I just hope, I hope every home has homeopathy. And I know Eugenie tries her best to, get homeopathy in every home, doing some amazing sales and whatnot. But, it's actually not that expensive. You buy a kit, you're sorted for a long time, right? Because they really don't expire. So, it's like an investment
And if you want to avoid things like antibiotics, you really need to have these remedies in your home, because if an infection strikes and it's 9 o'clock on a Friday night, you can't get that remedy until Monday. So it's really important that you have if you want to avoid those emergency pharmaceuticals, you need to have remedies in your home. And I just don't know, like, I'm so glad the anxious me from 7 years ago purchased, a lot of remedies. So I pretty much have all I need. Like I said, love the infection special and the strong tooth mix. Personally, my son has a hole in one of his baby teeth, but it's one of the baby teeth that is going to stay in there for a while. So the strong tooth mix along with a Narayani tooth special every day in his water bottle, it is amazing. Occasionally we might get a little bit lazy with that and he will say, oh, my tooth hurts. So we get straight back onto strong tooth mix and the teeth special, and it goes away. It's like within a day. And I even have Eugenie's tissue salt for the painful teeth. I think it's combination. Oh, is that right? Combination 17. I have that. We spray that on his tooth as well. And you know what? That's avoiding general anesthetic, antibiotics, all that sort of stuff, because we know, don't we? We know that if he gets a sore tooth, it's not looking good for us. So we need homeopathy in our home. Love homeopathy.
Hey everyone, it's Leah Berg here, and I just wanted to wish you a happy Homeopathy Awareness Week. It's so wonderful that we get to celebrate this week every year for Samuel Hahnemann's birthday. And I've been so encouraged to see so many students joining the profession in the last few years and people just becoming more curious about what homeopathy is. I've told my story in previous years about how I came to homeopathy, and it was through motherhood. But one of the things that I wanted to share, that even as a homeopath, my husband's been a little bit skeptical, like, how does it work again? Does it work? And one of the things that happened this year is, unfortunately, he actually burned his hand trying to get something out of the oven. And it was a pretty bad burn. And I gave him some homeopathy right away. And it was really amazing how fast he healed up. The pain disappeared. Yeah, and he was left with no blister, no scar. And so I just think, there's so much power in having a homeopathy kit at home and just being able to use it for those, fast-paced acutes, because it can really make a difference in such a short space of time. And so, yeah, I hope that, from that experience that he was able to see, just how amazing homeopathy can be. Do I have any favorite books? I do. I mean, I have so many books that I just love to read. I'm always reading and studying and wanting to learn more. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Abby Beale and the book Homeopathy Primer. It was published in 2024, and it's a study guide and learning resource. And if you haven't checked it out, I just think this is such a wonderful book for people who are new to homeopathy. It has lots of different sections for, the main kind of acute injuries and illnesses that may come up. But it also includes, when is something an emergency and when do you need to seek help? What can you do at home? And, what kind of remedies you can look for and the symptoms that may be associated with that remedy. So I just think, that's a really good book, and it's a newer book that people may not know about yet. So I wanted to give a shout out because I do think it's a great book to learn about. So happy Homeopathy Awareness Week. I hope you all have a wonderful week and enjoy the journey. It's such a fantastic thing to learn about. Thanks so much.